There's a huge record button. Yeah. And then Tori. I'm looking for Tori. Hold on one second. Oh. It's okay. So I have a feeling it looks like there's a couple dozen people that are in breakout or that are in the main room. You are certainly welcome to transition to another room should you, there might be multiple things you're interested in hearing about. So please feel free to move about the room, but we're gonna spend about 30 minutes having a conversation and then pause, and then we'll basically repeat the conversation. So if there are two that look interesting to you, that's easy, stay for 30 minutes and go to the second one. And if there are more than that, again, just feel free to move about as helpful. So Tori, are you with us? Tori Elfstrom? I thought I saw her on the list, but I guess not. So if Tori joins us, Tori Elfstrom is from Engineered Sports, and they have supported interns in physical therapy for quite a few years around Snohomish County. They're quite seasoned at it. And then we also have with us Jessica Kinman. She's with Amazon Web Services, but she's done many other things in her time. So I would love to give you the floor, Jessica, to introduce yourself and just share your background before we dive in.
Of course. Good morning, everyone. I am at Amazon currently today, actually in the office. I know we were talking about in office and virtual. So I feel like I had to sit, near our spheres. So it looks like, yes, I'm here. So no, my background, I have 18 years in industry. I've done anywhere from welding on the floor through some of my internships to running electrical wire. I've managed manufacturing teams. I did all that. I got myself through school. So I think in the last panel, I understand completely what it felt like being in those positions where I got stuck, where I had to go to class. I know what it's like to look for resources that make it flexible, like online courses. Both my BA and my MBA is from Wazoo through their online program, which allowed me to work during that time. I've worked the whole time. So what's really great is I'm 34 and I have 18 years of experience in the industry. So not only is thinking about when we're talking about how do we do internships, how do we get people knowing about manufacturing, a lot of people don't think about the earlier you start, that just adds to your experience versus coming out, of school 4 years later. And, as we're hiring people, what experience do you have? Oh, I went to school for 4 or 5 years, so I understand, like I said, a lot of the pros and cons. I'm involved. I also have an engineering degree. So I know what it's like being on the STEM side of stuff. I went through most of college as a single parent. So all Daria's concepts about childcare and how to juggle it. My kid was in the back with a set of headphones on watching a movie when she was 3 and 4. So I know exactly what those are. I've moved into running worldwide organizations. I was a director of aerospace at Dassault Systems the last 5 years, running digital transformation on, how to update and improve processes. And then I've also I helped start our Women in Manufacturing Washington chapter here in Washington State. So I'm heavily involved nationally, just getting women and industry and some of those minorities just moving forward, giving them a support structure. That's a big thing. I think we'll get into about mentorship and stuff like that in some of this. So yeah, no, I'm all over the place. I have a pretty broad range that I've covered and experiences that I've had.
That help all of us understand more equitable, strong systems in our community. So thank you for being with us. We're really excited. We have a room full of people. You're going to get to know them. I'm going to encourage all of you to engage and talk, drop in chat. Like if you have questions, raise your hand if we got a lot going at once. Or just pop in and ask. The idea is that this is a fluid conversation and not a panel. And so we're here to, I guess, to answer questions you have and maybe answer questions you didn't know you had that other people are going to ask. So we're all in this together. There's no one way to do it. And to that point, every business is unique. And so the more we center business in this, I don't want to say system, just in community and supporting their needs and working to create programs that make it easy for them. And also our educational institutions, the better off we all are. We kind of fast track everything that was mentioned in the panel. So, gosh, I don't even know where to begin. Maybe Jessica, you're in business now. You have.
I'll just start us off, and if
Yeah,
you want to go through it, I mean, I guess one of the first things, we had a few questions that we were throwing around, right? So how can your business be seen? That was one question we had. So there are different levels of businesses. Some of you guys may be small, some of you guys may be medium or work for a larger one. One of the biggest things that I can recommend is being seen. If people don't see you, they don't hear about you, they really don't know you're there. So when we're talking about different levels, not only the middle school, the high school students, but also there were a few references of maybe like a second career or people coming in. The more you can get involved with your community, the more they see your name, the more they see you out there, those people are going to be like, oh, who is that? If they don't see that, they're never going to ask. That's one thing I run into a lot of smaller companies about, who may be in a position for interns and they don't quite know what to do because they're a smaller company over here. So first things first, network. You guys are already doing great because you are here in the session today. Look at local organizations that may support what you guys are doing. Like I say, our Women in Manufacturing organization has been a great opportunity where we'll host the events. We actually had an event in August where I had a smaller company out of Snohomish and I had two college students, and one of them was starting to look at the internships requirement. We're talking, and she's a mechatronics student. Guess what? I have a company here who's smaller, who needs some help, and we were actually able to connect them at that event. We've also had students come in who it was their first event or two, and we're able to introduce them to some of these smaller companies in the area just to learn what's out there. And she actually ended up getting hired for motor and controls. CEO came one day and said, hey, I'm short. I've been looking for someone. I love your personality and your attitude. I'll hire you off the spot. Like, those are things, like I said, utilizing your network to kind of create those connections is definitely one. I think just getting out the door is great.
Questions, anyone?
I guess the question I would have, Angie, is from Jessica's work. I mean, what is there things that Amazon is doing to be able to make it easier and or attract folks either while they're still in high school or as they're transitioning out of high school to come and be employed, knowing that you're needing a ever-growing workforce with the many distribution centers that are coming up north?
Yes, I've seen them make a lot of effort getting involved with networks. Like I said, Amazon just came on board for Women in Manufacturing this year. They've been involved with local organizations. They do internships. We actually have one of my employees who were telling me today that their niece was applying for one of the new internships coming up. So Amazon does market out those internships for some of those that are coming out of high school or some of those that may be within a college program. Yes. There's also an opening there. We have a very strong veterans group too. That's just another area to look at. If you have, some of those students that are looking at military or some of those getting out of the military, we actually do. I'm in the Washington Air National Guard too. So it's kind of like, a personal thing with me. We do almost like a trial program for them where the veteran can come in, try it out for 12 weeks, and then they make a decision on if they want to come on full time or if they have another fit. So that's kind of another area, not only with students, but looking at what type you have with veterans.
Cool. One other thing, sorry, I don't want to monopolize Angie. I know that Amazon has some partnerships with community technical colleges and technical schools to be able to have sites on the campus to be able to direct train folks to go to directly working at the distribution workshop, place distribution sites and stuff. Has there been any thoughts about pushing that down into the K-12 world to be able to make that happen?
That part, I'm not sure. I know there are some of those age restrictions around those warehouses. I think even I used to work at the Walmart distribution center and we actually limited those to 18. So I think that might be a little bit harder depending on what type of positions they are. I'll see, maybe I can follow up with you and try to find at least that group that may do that. If they can't work maybe on the floor operations, if they're looking at maybe more of like the project manager type or IT tech or something like that, maybe some possibilities.
Awesome. I would love to follow up with you on that because there's a couple people also in the screen that could probably help us with that mission.
Yeah, we'll be in touch. That's a great question, Wes. Marcy, do you have any questions around the work you're doing?
Hi, everybody. Marcy Wilmer with Boys and Girls Clubs of Snohomish County. And I wanted to join in on this for a couple of reasons. For one, we are talking with Angie and others about potentially creating a workforce center of some kind in Snohomish County with the purpose of introducing younger students, like middle and high school, to the different workforce opportunities that will be coming when they are out of school. And so that's really what we're looking at. And I love hearing from all of you, and in the future would love to connect on what sorts of things you're looking for in future employees, because it's not too early to start them on it. One of the programs we currently run is called Inspire Her, and it is specifically to introduce girls and young women to other careers that they may not have ever had on their radar. So we've been doing that virtually every other week throughout the pandemic. And so I am taking down some of your names and you may be hearing from me. So thanks. Is that what you, that's what you're
Sure,
talking
yeah.
about, right?
And thank you, Marcy. I mean, I think it almost welcomes an opportunity to just get people talking. And there's a lot of collective knowledge in this breakout session. Many of you we interface with, and so just appreciate you sharing what you're pursuing. And quite honestly, the demographics of students that you all take care of from early on through teen years is what we've been talking about all morning. So thank you for being open through the pandemic and supporting those families.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. Any other, gosh, we could go in 100 directions on this. Maybe, so maybe I'll just pause and share with you what the STEM network has been up to, just high level. Quite often, there's silos and bottlenecks and like business doesn't know how to really engage. They know because they meet someone somewhere at a dinner or at an event, and we are working very closely with the county to develop a system. So think of milestones. Like there's all this work, there's all these programs that people do that work for their organization to bring business in. But what happens? I mean, there's all these other businesses that aren't engaged, and they may want to be, they don't know how to be. So a few things that we're looking at that we're building. One is STEM Like Me, which is it's proven. There's lots of research. It's happened for a long time. It's an easy lift for business. And my experience has been, they do it 2 times, 3 max. And they're like, well, what else can we do? This is really fun. Can I bring my colleague? Or I have someone that works in this other, department that would be really good at this. Can we bring them? And so the web grows, right? So that's one stop. That's for middle school. It's career exploration. The other piece is we're working with a number of businesses, and all over Snohomish County to develop high school internship experiences in the summer. They get credit for it. It really all started Everett. CareerLink started it. And so we mentor business. We get, all the agreements, the paperwork. We worked with Darrington School District. We're starting to work with 3 other districts to get something set up for this summer so that students see, often like in their own municipality, what happens. There's all kinds, it doesn't have to be STEM related, but I'll tell you 80% of it is, because that's where the need is. That's just naturally what happens. But it also connects them to their community. It helps students see all these other aspects through the business, through that experience that opens up all kinds of other ideas. So, and it may be an experience that they decide they don't enjoy, and that is valuable as well. Like, we kind of go in with that, it's okay, but we just want it to be structured, and we provide some wraparound services to get them there, to have some business clothes to wear and have food in the summer. There's just a lot of different situations. So that's been a really fun thing. And then certainly with what Janae mentioned, in partnership with many of you, working with business to land work-based learning experience that's credential bearing and paid, because there are many students in high school and college who can afford to work or volunteer to get that experience. And so that's a bigger lift. There's some work being done at a higher level to develop models where funding will exist, and it will lift the weight a little bit off of business. So those are the 3 mile markers. Let me just pause for a second and ask if you have any questions about them. Many of you have been involved in some of them. Okay. Thank you for the link, Jessica.
I think I have to give another one.
Okay. Yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know there's a password on that one.
Oh, this one has a password. Okay.
Yeah. I'll get the right link for you guys.
Perfect. Thank you.
And then I think it was before Angie and I were bouncing around ideas, like if there are ways where you guys can bring in your company to the schools, that makes it a lot easier, because a lot of our students can't necessarily go places. I miss the days of the field trips. Can you just put them all on a bus and take them over, and then they can come see the facility? So there's been a few things that I think Matter Hackers does 3D printing. They're on the West Coast, and they've actually worked with schools to set up like an on-site facility where the students can come in and learn how to run those 3D printers. So if there are things, like I said, just to showcase what you do, where you can bring in different parts and talk about different types of machines that you may be using, even stuff like that, where you're partnering with a local STEM teacher to do it for a day or something, is still giving them knowledge and physically showing them something if they can't necessarily come on site.
Wes, how has that gone for you? You've been open through most the entire, you were open through a lot of it. How has it been working with business on site, not on site, students on site, visiting? You're kind of in the mecca of that.
Yeah, it's not as easy to send them out. Been easier to bring folks in, and as long as we're able to focus on a curricular based piece, the district has been more flexible about letting folks come in. Like we're hosting the National Apprenticeship Week starting the 15th here, and the district is fine with that. The downside that we're kind of seeing is that every district in the state has a fancy attestation form that everybody has to fill out, because they're not letting anybody on campus now after the 18th that isn't either vaccinated or has a medical or religious exemption from their employer to be able to come on campus. So that makes it a little more difficult, and we've actually lost some of our business contacts that did services for us because of that. So it was tricky before, and it's a little even trickier now. But it's something that we're monitoring, adjusting by, and it's so key. I agree, it's great having folks come out, but Jessica's exactly right. To go and see it is so key. When we were doing that business partnership a couple of years ago during manufacturing month, to see the expressions and the oh my goodness experiences that students had, going out and going out and seeing things. In our case, you know, a 2.5 hour stint, that was invaluable to be able to have them actually go see the connection to what they're learning in class, and hearing from folks that even have more street cred than their teachers, to be able to talk about why it was important to be able to be successful in class. So the moment we can get out back in business and industry, I will push it substantially.
So in the meantime, there are a number of resources. I know Edge Factor, I think you use, Wes, as a tool. I'm sharing a link. And so this is maybe this is something we need to do for the next 6 months or so to get through this period and just keep things flowing and keep kids engaged, and maybe do it with them, and then have an activity that follows it. So it's anyways, Dawn is here with us, or she was, I'm not sure if she still is, but
I'm here. Hi, Angie.
Awesome. I just dropped the Future You link into the chat. You guys take some time this is a really wonderful, really well done virtual field trip for many aspects of Boeing. So there are just a lot of resources, and maybe something the STEM network can do. We kind of have a list, maybe just share that out and just like sort it into categories or sectors. And there's a number of them across the state. And I would just say, on the career awareness front, there's a Career Connect Washington on their site. There's a link for programs that you can search by region, and there may be things you find in that that are ideas for doing things virtually, visiting companies virtually as well. So, oh, thank you. Jessica just shared the other link, so if you haven't grabbed it, please do so.
Angie, just one comment that kind of what you were just talking about. One thing that has been really successful for us during this time, we've had a lot of these virtual kind of field trips and STEM activities. I know that we've been working with the midshipmen from the Naval Academy, for example. Luke has done a few things. A couple other businesses locally have come on Zoom and done STEM activities with the kids. So we get the supplies ahead of time, and then they run the activity, and they talk about kind of what they do. And that's been really successful. And that's something that we will continue to do, just because it's not always possible to take, a group of kids somewhere, even though we would prefer that. But feel free to reach out to us if you have people in your company that would be willing to do something like that with a group of kids too.
Thank you for that offer, Marcy. That engaging piece is so essential to getting the wheels turning and getting their curiosity flowing, for sure. And I would just add, across the board, if there's something you want to do as a business or an education partner, and you want to put kids together, the STEM network's here to support funding that, and potentially getting a college student to an intern to help assemble and create. Like there's all kinds of ways that we can make it happen. If you have the vision, or you want to talk through creating that, like you want to do something, what is it?
And I think the other idea is make it fun. I think that's the thing a lot of people miss, is it's not just sitting there listening to someone go through a webinar, right? My daughter will be 13 next month, and I bought those little toy box 3D printers for her. She's also a competitive cheerleader. So she was in kind of that area where the girls were like, oh, we don't like math and science. So when we got the 3D printer, we started using it to do something, like I said, something fun. So she used to 3D print snowflakes, and she would put them on everybody's Christmas boxes, right? So how can you utilize something in manufacturing to do something like that, where we're just, like I said, printing snowflakes, putting it on the thing and tying it on there? And through those skills, she's learning troubleshooting on the machine, right? Did something go wrong? Do you have to reset it? Do you have to clean it off? So just small stuff like that. Even projects or craft projects or something like that they may can do through the school could be a good opportunity too.
So we have just a minute or two before we go back into, we'll pause and then we'll reboot, and you guys can find another topic of interest. But in one of our middle school programs, we had a cybersecurity, well, he was IT, but he did cyber safety for businesses. And he had 8th graders put their cell phones down on the table, and he had his laptop set up, and for those that left their Wi-Fi open, he hacked in. And they were like, what did you just do? I mean, seriously, they were like, whoa. So not only did it get their attention, but it taught them a skill and something really important, not to leave your Wi-Fi open. And then they're like, how do you do that? How do I protect myself? It was awesome because in like 3 minutes, he had them, every single one of them was like, oh, so yeah, just, I guess it's kind of fun being creative, finding ways to just make it different and fun and play, right? Thank you all for being here. We're just going to pause for a minute. I'm going to